Hi guys, welcome back to TigeraGitana. My name is Abby, and today we're gonna do a video that has been long awaited for a hot minute, and that is the Botanica Essentials list. So we are going to get started. There's gonna be a lot of stuff that we're covering. This basically is supposed to be a guide if you are going to Botanica for whatever reason, if it's your first time, on what you should be thinking about getting, what are like pretty much the essentials, this also depends on how big your Botanica is that you're going to. There's a couple things that you could pick up at the supermarket as well, but this generally covers a generally well balanced Botanica that has like a good amount of each of these things. So we're gonna cover a lot, and we're gonna get started. And I think I'm gonna get started with this first right here. And what this is, it's a mini cauldron. And you're like, Abby, why is it smoking? That's because I have incense in there right now, and I can't open it without freaking burning myself right now. Yeah, it's a little hot. But the reason why this is number one in my Botanica, well, it's not like the first one, this is not going to be in order, but this is just going to be because it's like right next to me, is one of these cauldron thingies. You can get them in different sizes. They come in handy for different types of spell work, especially when you're doing fire magic. I have a mini one right now because I like to move it around my altar depending if I'm doing work for a specific god or goddess, and I like to kind of put the cauldron right next to their space or right in front of their space, so they can have that sacredness in their space. So I work with incense a lot. This one's also really easy to hang, and like if I have a little hook here, I can just hang it and just like do its thing. So this one is really multi-purpose. The mini one's multi-purpose, but a medium one sized one is good as well. But if you have a small space, if you live in a small apartment, a small house, you have a small room, the mini cauldron is an essential for your Botanica trip. If this is your first one, or if you're trying to figure out what you should get, you should definitely have these at home, just because they're so multi-purpose and you can do so much with it. In addition to getting the cauldron, because you don't just have to put incense in there, it just happens to work really well with burning the specific incense that we're going to talk about right now. Hold on, let me just grab it from the bag, because there's a lot of stuff on in this table right now. So in addition to those two things, to the cauldron, let me put this down. One of the other things that you're going to need is the charcoal. This, and I recommend this brand, which is a Swift Light charcoal. And the reason why I recommend this brand is because some of the cheaper ones are not good, and they don't light as well, they don't burn as well, they're just not good. So I do recommend this brand. If you see it, if you see some of the cheaper ones and you want to give them a try, by all means give it a try, but you might struggle a little bit with it. So yeah. Also, just a tip as to how I use these, and how like I like them, because I know a lot of people like to hold these in their hands, put it by a flame, wait till it like does its thing. I don't do that because I'm not trying to burn my fingers off. I use a really old tweezer stick thingies, and this is why it's black at the top, because I literally take the charcoal, I put it in between, I like open it up a little bit, put it in between, hold it on the flame, and then I go ahead and then put it on the cauldron, and then I put in the incense, so that way I'm not like burning my fingers off in any way. So that's just something that I do to make my life easier when it comes to burning resins and different herbs and stuff like that. I keep it burn free. Okay, so that's one of the tips for the incense. Also, since we're in the topic of incense, since this is the Botanica Essentials, the two or the one that you should at least have, the resin that you should at least have, the first trip you take or as you go, you should at least, at a minimum, without trying any of the other ones like the Three Kings incense or whatever, before you do all that, you should at least, at a minimum, get frankincense and myrrh. And the reason why you should get these two, and they work really well in combination, is because this blends specifically is a very sacred blend. And so spirit, ancestors, the gods and goddesses, they react very well to it. This cleanses not only the house, you can cleanse different areas, you can bless different things through the smoke. It's a very ancient practice to use this too, to smoke out the space and keep the space sacred. So these two are essential. I'm not saying the other ones are not cute and dandy. Sure, you can go at your next trip to the Botanica, you can go ahead and buy yourself like a 3 Kings or whatever, whoever's blend, and the money blessing blend, whatever. Sure, but at least you should have these 2 resins. There's other resins that I also recommend, like Opal is really good, but these 2 you need to get. They're go-tos. I'm just saying. I cannot state it enough how much life-saving this is. This is the sage of the incense realm, basically, because sage is really bomb for cleansing, but this not only cleanses, but it just takes it to the next level. So definitely invest in incense. That's one of the other ones. And just to leave the last couple of things of incense, because there's different incense ways you can burn incense and blah 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 blah. You can get yourself one of these little things. This is one I didn't get the Botanica, I got it at the Dollar Tree, but it does come in handy for incense sticks specifically. I bought this one not at a Botanica, and this is why I didn't want to mention this one specifically, because you might not actually find this at a Botanica. But this is the lotus flower incense stick holder, and it has the little holes in the middle of the flower, so it's really pretty. I love this one. I've had it for years, so I got it for I've had it for like a long time, but I do like that one. I love this one as well. Like, they all work perfectly fine. I just have no complaints. But in recommendation of other incense sticks that you might want to use, I do recommend maybe grabbing it. It really depends on the vibe that you're trying to do, I would say. Like chakra ones are cool. Meditation ones are cool to start off with, because this is the essentials list. So starting off, meditation ones are cool. Like if you're trying to just have some more love vibes in your house or in your room or your space, like some of the passion ones are cool. The rose ones is cool. Like, it just depends what you're trying to do. If you're doing money work, like maybe get a different money one, like the raining coin one or something. Like, there's different ones, but the one I would recommend starting off is the Om one. And this one is really great to meditate with, and it works really well with the chakras as well. And doing this while chanting Om is actually also really powerful. I really like this one. I've used it for a while now. It's great. So I recommend starting off with something that's just energetically kind of universal. You know what I'm saying? As far as incense goes, you want to like elevate the room. You want to have a vibe. You just want to relax. You want things to be a certain way. The Om one just hits all those points. And that is the portion of the incense that we're going to be talking about. I'm not going to be talking about like herbal incenses or anything like that, because I feel like that's a little bit too complicated. And this is an essentials list, okay? Essentials list. So that was like the gist of what you should get if you walk into a Botanica and you need to change the vibe in the house, okay? Okay, so now that we got through that, since I guess we're talking about space-wise, the other thing that you need to consider getting while you're at a Botanica is a floor wash. And a lot of the time, depending on where you go, you're gonna see that. Make sure you pay attention to like the labels and what it says where. I know it doesn't like say it here; it just says Yamaya, but where you pick it up from, because some will say floor wash / bath, some will just say floor wash, some will just say bath. If it doesn't say both, you cannot do, like, you can't, well, specifically this is to specify on the bath part. Like, if it just says floor wash and it doesn't say bath, and then you see another section for bath, don't think that you can use that floor wash in your bath, okay? Because it might just have something in there in here that might not be great for like your body, as far as, you know, like your private areas while you're washing and stuff like that. Just be mindful of what you're picking up, and don't assume that just because oh, you've seen maybe in other places or people picking up products and be like, oh, floor wash / bath, that everything is going to be a floor wash / bath. It's not like that. Some things are made a little bit harsher, especially like a lot of different cleansing floor washes and stuff, so they're not meant to be used interchangeably, unless stated. If it's stated that way, that means it's just a little bit more gentle for your skin to use, so it will be fine, and it's more soap based and more herbal based. So just make sure you're reading, make sure you're paying attention when you're walking in there. But I do recommend a floor wash to also, it doesn't have to be like Yamayafa specifically. This is just the one that I had on hand. I haven't used it just yet, so I wanted to show you this one. But you could definitely get a floor wash. I recommend a floor wash, especially if it's your first trip over there, and you're okay, you got all this incense, you're cleansing the air and the energy, but what about the floor? What about the ground? What about what you're walking on top of? It's like you need to make sure you're also being mindful of that and cleansing what you need to cleanse. So this is a really great way to resetting the tone. So if you wanted to do like love work, or you're working with specific spirits, or like a saint or something, or if you're trying to bring in more money, or it's a business that you're doing the floor wash for, if you have your own business or something like that, like you can grab a floor wash and then clean the floor and reset that vibe for it. Make sure that one of the tips that I guess I can say for me is that I like to hold it in my hands and feel out the vibe of the actual like liquid while it's in there. Like I like to hold it. If I don't feel like a connection to it, I'm not gonna get it, just because I feel like I don't know, like I'm very sensitive, so I can, you know, empath, all that, but I'm just very sensitive, and I can feel different vibrations, and there might be something that's calling my spirit at that moment that I'm just holding, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of rocking with this. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna get this. I think that's the direction I'm going to set for like my house right now. So for the time that I bought this, it was Yamaya, so that's my homegirl. So yeah, aka my mom. So yeah, so I do recommend getting a floor wash as part of the essentials list. Now, the next thing in regards to, I guess we can talk about some baths now. Sure, why not? Okay, this is gonna be probably the most obvious, and if you were to make a list of what you should get if you go into a Botanica, and if you don't have this, this is gonna be the first one on the list. So if this wasn't a list, this would be number one. And this is, for my people who haven't guessed it yet, is Florida water. So Florida water is pretty much amazing for cleansing. It's really, it's a cologne. And it is just famous for its cleansing abilities. This is to the, you know, speaking on the essential oils that are used to make it as well, but it's just really powerful, really great to have on hand for cleansings. You can cleanse your altar with this, you can cleanse your floor with this, you can put this in spiritual baths. You can also take your floor wash, add some more of this just to set the tone, to have the space cleansed. You can literally, this is so multi-purpose. You can cleanse your candles with this. You can like, it's just the levels. Okay, this is a very essential tool when it comes to when you're doing work and you're buying stuff from the Botanica. This is a very essential tool for that, because it's just very multi-purpose. It does so much. You can do so much in it. You can even put it in a little spray bottle, and while you're at work or whatever, you can spray your space or whatever really quickly. It's just so much stuff that you can do. You can wear it as a cologne as well. You can do it like if you do Reiki, you can put some on your hands after a session, rub that in, and just reset the tone, reset your space. Like, there's so many ways to use this. Like, I can probably make a list of like 20 different ways to use Florida water. Maybe that needs to be the next video. I don't know, we'll see. Might do that one actually. But it's just very multi-purpose. It's an essential. You can also take this, rub it on your hands, or you could put some on a paper towel and cleanse your like when you buy like a statue, you can cleanse that with the Florida. Listen, okay, it's gonna be a separate video, obviously, but this is in the essentials list. Period. Point blank. Period. It's in the essentials list. Now continuing with the bath. Soap. Now you can get this in different ways. I do like the African black soap. I do love this one, the patchouli scented soap from Murray & Langman. It's really good. It smells so good in the shower, and it's just really nice to use actually like already fixed soaps with different intentions, and you could do it for different things, whether it's money drawing, love, just cleansing, whatever it is you're trying to attract after you leave the bathroom. I like having a soap in there. I'm putting it as an essentials because they do come in handy when it comes to cleansing yourself in the shower or in the bath, or after you do all that work. Like when you really want to cleanse yourself, using, if you think about it, using like a third party cleanser of sorts, it's just like, it's not as, it's just kind of basic. Like you're just cleansing your body, but how are you cleansing yourself with the water? Like what intention are you setting, and do you have like a fixed soap that like will assist you in that? Like patchouli is really amazing both for money and for love, so this is a very multi-purpose like soap. So every time I use it in the shower, I'm just like, yes. And then it's a different experience. So I do recommend this. It's in my essentials list for grabbing stuff from the Botanica. Definitely peep the soaps. You basically want to go into the Botanica with like the whole mindset of what it is that you need right now. What issue is it that you need? It's basically like a hospital. Like you're going in there and you're just like, okay, what issues are you having and how do they need to be addressed and how are we going to address them? So we already analyzed the air in the house, the energy in the house. We talked about the house and the floor and how you want to address that. And then it's like, okay, what about my body? How do I keep myself, you know, well, and you just like with good vibes, and like how do I keep myself cleansed and like not in low vibrations, not depressed, not anxious, just like I'm good, I have this intention set, it's good. And that's what I mean by getting these tools to assist you in those areas. And this is why every month when I do my Botanica haul, you see different products, because I'm not just gonna go get a bunch of candles and that's it. Like I usually get a spectrum of things, because there's different targets of my life that I currently need to address, and they're not all going to be addressed with the same tool. So it's the same thing. Now the other thing, and you guys know I was gonna talk about this, you knew, but the other thing that we're gonna talk about is a herbal bath. And you know I love herbal baths. You probably see one of these in every single month on my Botanica hauls, and this one smells so good. This is the John the Conqueror house. This is actually a house blessing, but also you can set different intentions for it. Love, money, justice in court, luck, opportunities, different things. You can also use it as a road opener as well. But an herbal bath is something that I like to use in addition to using something like this. So if you're gonna do an herbal bath, you can also combine it with the Florida water. You can brew this, add some Florida water in there, but make sure you get that cleanse, and then, you know, you Gucci. But herbal baths are something that I do pretty much once a month, sometimes twice a month, depending on how I'm feeling and depending on the energy and the vibes of the area. But I like to make sure that I cleanse on that spiritual level in the bathroom, have a moment, sit with it. Sometimes I take more spiritual showers than baths, just when I'm like in a little bit more of a hurry. Like this, for example, is something that like let's say I have to be at work in like 4 hours or something. Instead of taking a bath, which would take a little bit longer time for me to just sit there, I'll still brew it and then I'll just pour it over myself, and that would be like a spiritual shower. That's you're saving time, but you're also saying the intention that you wanted to set. So these are really good. Herbs are really good. This is part of earth magic as far as elemental magic goes. It's really good, but it's also water because it's combining 2 elements. But it's just really good to take those the spirit and the energy from those herbs and use that to cleanse your spirit and the baggage that you're carrying. So this is also part of the rest of the situation in which we just spoke about, as far as like baths, cleansing, all of that. Like we're just talking about a lot of cleansing ways at this point. Okay, now I'm gonna take these out because there's one more thing that I'm gonna mention for when it comes to cleansing by air, because we did talk about incense, and then the incense you can cleanse by air in that way. But hold on, let me just put some of this stuff back in here so I have space, because there's just so much stuff on here. So another thing that you can do in regards to, that I think you should get in regards to like stuff that you should get in a Botanica, is sage, if you do see it, unless you want to make this yourself, which you can. But if you do see it in a Botanica and you don't want to have to go through the trouble of doing it by yourself, you can just pick one up. Sage is also, it's always really good to have. I didn't include Palo Santo in this because I feel like But it's interchangeable. You can either use Palo Santo, get a Palo Santo, or get this, but sage cleanses both negative and positive energy. Palo Santo only cleanses negative energy and it leaves the positive. So it really just depends on what you're trying to keep. If this is your first time going to the Botanica and you're just cleansing the house the first time and doing all this stuff, I recommend getting sage just to reset the tone of all the things, and then you're going to go in with your floor wash, and you're going to go in with everything else, and then you're going to reset the tone, and that's the whole point. But I definitely recommend sage. It's just great. I use it all the time. You guys know I double cleanse my candles specifically when I get them. So I cleanse with sage and then, or Palo Santo, and I cleanse with Florida water as well. That's how I cleanse pretty much all my candles. So it's just a go-to of mine. That's one of the tips I use. I just like double cleansing, and it just leaves it with a good vibration, resets the tone, and then you're able to use it the way you actually wanted to use it. So yes, so that's the sage. So let's put that in the back. Now we're gonna move a little bit fast because there's a lot of stuff on this table and a lot of information that we have to get through. Now, the other things that I would recommend getting if you're in a Botanica, depending on what work you want to do specifically, and we're going to start getting into the conjure oils in a minute, but definitely consider getting herbs. Okay, let's just start getting on those. Definitely get at least a few herbs. If you don't work with herbs, you can work with herbs. You can make your own spiritual baths as well. You can use them in spell work. You can use them in candle magic. There's just so many ways. You can put them in mojo bags. Like, there's so many ways to use them. But I just kind of picked my top 3 ones that are pretty much the most famous to use in this type of work. But you can get this. Just represents all as far as like whatever it is that you're trying to do. I had to include spearmint for this because Yerba Buena is renowned. If you go into any Botanica that has an herb section, because some don't, and I mean that's fine or whatever, but if you do find a big one, you will find an herb section, and one of the herbs that is always gonna, it's in a lot of the spiritual baths that you will see if you end up buying a lot of them, is Yerba Buena. And spearmint is really good, like for money, for love. It's just a really universal herb to put into things to just give it more juju, and to just like empower whatever work you're doing, just because it's very multi-purpose and it's very light, it's very refreshing, it's really great in baths. It's just a very well-rounded herb is the best way I can put it. So I use that a lot in my spell work as well, and I do recommend using it for different things because it just comes in handy for anything. The other one that we're going to talk about obviously is going to be roses. So rose is amazing for love work, obviously. Great as a tea. You can also brew all these together if you want. Do you? But roses are really good for love magic. They're really good for sensuality magic. Also, if you want to do a lot of love healing work, heart chakra work, even do some yoni steamings. There's just so much stuff you can do with roses, like, honestly. And I am gonna make a yoni steaming video for you guys as far as like different things, because we have to talk about yoni steaming. That's definitely good. That's coming. But roses is definitely an essential for like working with herbs. The other one that we're gonna talk about is lavender, because obviously it's lavender. Lavender is really amazing to do a lot of spiritual work, spiritual empowerment, mental clarity, dream work. I can literally, the list can go on. This is really, really good to do just so much work with. I add it to almost everything. Even like peace in a home candles, I add lavender to. Like anything that you just want to like stabilize a little bit, I add lavender to. Lavender is just like a universal herb. Also a lot of different gods and goddesses and deities love the vibration of lavender, so it ends up showing up in a lot of different work, and that's totally fine. Now we're gonna get into, let me see. Well, in addition to getting like herbs, the last thing I would say is consider getting root as well. For this one, I am going to just be highlighting the Haijan roots, just because you can use this in his actual candle, but it's really, if you do a lot of like hoodoo root work, this comes up quite often. Sometimes you're gonna need Haijan, the conqueror root, and it comes in handy. It's just a really good root to work with for different things, so it's just very multi-purpose. I do recommend this. To me, as an essential root to have, so I wanted to at least name a root in this that you guys can use basically throughout your like spell work and like throughout your like craft basically. Now we're gonna get into the candles really quickly because we have to get into the essential oils, and I'm trying not to make this video super long. But there's different candles that you can get at the Botanica. You can get 7-day candles, you can get figure candles, you can get chime candles. There's different ones that you can get. I recommend having at least one of each. Like, I do recommend, depending on what work you need to do. 7-day candles are really good for just doing the work all in one vessel, having it like for a longer period of time, and you're able to really kind of capture an intention and see the developments of it through the glass. It's just a really good way to do spell work. So obviously 7-day candles are in here. I did not want to put a white candle in here because those are kind of universal, but if you go to Botanica and you want to get white candles, obviously those are the best ones to honor like your ancestors and different deities as well. They just take a white candle, and that's totally fine. Like Santa Clara, for example, her color is white, so you can just use a white candle with it. Totally fine. And I just like using these candles. This is something that you would see at every Botanica, small or big. You can always see some way, somehow, a wall full of these. So grabbing what you need is really important. And then we're gonna get into the conjure oils in a minute, but definitely it's important to analyze, like before you go inside of Botanica, analyze what it is that the work that you need to do, what it is that you want to do, what you want to focus on, and then search for the tools that you need to help you. That's the whole point of this video. That's the whole point of walking in there. So that's the whole point of some of these, and they're just a little bit more helpful because they're already in glass. Now, figure candles are a little bit more, I want to say a little open. Also, these kind of, they go off a lot faster than the 7-day, obviously. So I like working with figure candles for a lot of different reasons. I do work with different deities with them sometimes, but I do like to do a lot of self-work with them as well. So like, for example, if I'm doing like self-empowerment work, like if I want to focus on my third eye or heal a specific chakra, I'll pick a white figure candle like this, and then I will focus on one chakra so I can write or focus in whatever chakra. So if I want to focus on my solar plexus or my third eye, I'll focus up here, and then I'll use herbs that will help in that whatever the intention is that I'm using. So I could use something like lavender, which we talked about. Even if I'm doing self-love work, roses. And if I'm trying to attract money and work on my root chakra, spearmint. You see what I mean? It all comes back full circle, guys. Everything comes back full circle. So figure candles are really great to work on, not just only yourself, but to others as well. These are very common to use for a plethora of different things, depending on the color as well. Love work, money work, hexing work. It's just domination work. It's just a lot. So go in it with whatever intention you want to, but make sure that if you're going to pick this up, you have an actual intention for them, unless you feel like you're just going to maybe need it later on. You can also do that. You can also do it like fire cleansings this way as well. If it's like a figure candle, and it's like a person figure candle, you can do specific cleansings by fire this way. And there's different ways to kind of like set the intention for that. It really all depends on what you need to do. Now, the chime candles kind of pretty much look like this. They're a lot smaller. They will burn in like one day, a couple hours, and you can literally set really quick intentions, really quick things, and pretty much let it rock. That's pretty much what you're doing. So I like using this for different stuff. Like you can use a pink one and do like a sweetening jar with it, put it on top of it. You can do the white if you want to do like a quick petition to the ancestors. You can do the yellow if you're trying to work with like your solar plexus. Like there's so many different ways to do this. You can do the red for love, or even the root chakra as well if you want to do root chakra work. Like there's different ways to use these ones, but they come in handy, and I definitely suggest grabbing some, having them in the house, just because you're able to really do a lot with these, especially if you need to do something quick and not necessarily wait 7 days or such to finish this. You can do something a little bit quick, set a quick intention, sit with it, meditate with it, see, and then read the candle wax as well. So it does lead you to other practices that I recommend. So definitely recommend these. These are they're definitely on my essentials list. Now we're cutting into the wire, so let's go into the conjure oils. Now, I picked up like some that you might need to pick up as far as being in essentials, but it also, as I was doing this, I came to the realization, as I know this to be true, that there's some things that you are going to need that depend on what you're trying to do. So again, when I go inside the Botanica, I go with a specific intention. So let's say it's your first time there and you're like, okay, well, what is my issue? My issue is that I want to find a partner. Okay, so if all your issue is and you don't want to do anything else only but finding a partner, you just want to attract somebody, then you might want to get like a Jezebel oil and get a candle, like a 7-day or a fair candle that is in connection to what you're doing, maybe in red, maybe in working with the deity, however it is that you want to do it. Maybe you want to take a rose bath and attract that and set the vibration for your body to be that way. Maybe you want to like do something different. Maybe dab this before you leave the house and the pulse points, whatever. However it is that you want to use it. Maybe you might want to do the Jezebel oil or the Fire of Love oil as well. Works really well for like love work. Now, let's say it's about money. You just want money to come in. You want to draw in some money. Then you're going to need to get the money drawing oil for that. And obviously, that's kind of a classic oil. However, what if you wanted to be about a specific job? What if you just apply for jobs? You're trying to make sure you get something, trying to seek a promotion or something like that. You're going to need the steady work conjure oil for that. So it really depends on what you need. There's going to be sometimes where maybe you want to work with a specific deity or something. Well, then you're going to need their oil specifically. So the Santa Clara, the Santa Muerte are like different like oils that are specific to deities. Also the Hydron oil is really good in different work. Comes in handy for road opening work as well. But the ones I would definitely recommend, oh, I forgot to mention the Archangel Michael. If you do want to do Archangel work, definitely recommend getting the oil as well. And I know there's some people that just literally get the candle, take it home and just burn it in the table. But you want to make sure you cleanse that. You want to make sure you set the tone. And then if they have their oil, you want to make sure you use it because it only makes the candle more powerful. Now, if you're trying to do like maybe you go into the Botanica and you're like, oh my God, I've gotten really stuck. I really need to leave this job. I need to leave my boyfriend or whatever, or I need to get out of the situation. This friendship's really toxic. I feel like I'm really blocked. Then you're going to need a blockbuster oil. That's going to be specifically the one I would recommend. So that would be on the essentials list, like a road opening oil or a blockbuster oil. Now, if you're trying to do a little bit more different work, like for example, I recommend people usually mostly do this work when they start going into a Botanica or such, which is healing work. This is one of the main things that you might need, and for this you probably just need a regular white 7-day, or one of these. You can also use this with that, or one of these you can also use this with that. It really depends what you're trying to do. But the healing oil comes in handy when you're trying to heal specific things, like if you're trying to get over a wound, if you're trying to heal specific chakra, if you it's just multi-purpose. You can even add it into other spell work. Like let's say you're trying to attract a lover, but you at the same time want it to be, you don't want to repeat of the previous relationship that you had, like there was something that happened there. Well, you can use the Fire of Love with the healing oil, and then you have that intention set that's specifically for that. So it changes the tone of what the work that you're doing. Now the other ones that are like special mentions I do want to talk about this because I feel like it's important. But when you're going into Botanica, a lot of people don't like doing this work, but it is really important. You're basically starting to connect with your own power, and so when you're connecting with your power, you need to allow yourself to unlock certain things and to be able to use certain abilities that you maybe have been blocking your whole life and such like that. And because of that, I definitely recommend getting the power oil for that, just because it does add a punch to spell work. And if you're trying to bring out your own power in different things, or if you're trying to work with a specific deity and you're trying to just target a specific intention that requires. This is kind of like adding coffee to spell work. It's just adding like power in that juju. I also recommend getting Vision or the Dream or both. If you want to do dream work, for example, you could do like an orange candle and then add some dream oil and like or like drink some dream tea. They're like different herbs like lavender. That's really good for like dream work. Vision is really good for third eye work as well. So those are just like special mentions that I had to throw in there, just because it really depends on what you're trying to do, what work you're trying to do. The couple last bits of things that we're getting into for the Botanica Essentials list, and there's literally only 4 items left, so we're gonna get into one of the biggest things that you are going to see in a Botanica right away, and that's going to be the Orishas, the saints, the goddesses, the angels, the everything, in all shapes and sizes, in different forms. Now, this is my Yamaya statue, and I really love this one. When I first saw it, I just really connected with it, and I just love her so much, so I have this one on my altar. I borrowed her real quick to put her in this video, but I love the size of this. It fits perfect on my altar. It's great spacing. It's just, I just love this one. But I do recommend, if you are going into a Botanica, at some point you are probably going to end up getting one of these, or, which is the other, I guess, like if you're not going to get a statue, you can also get a cuadro, which looks like this. And this is basically a picture frame. You could put it into a picture frame as well, but you can use these in to basically replace a statue. So if you didn't have a statue in your house, or you couldn't get one, or you for some reason are in a home that you can't have those in the house, or for whatever reason, and this was more convenient, then get this. It works as equally well. You can put this in a picture frame and then have an altar for them there as well. So they come in handy, and it's definitely on my essentials list, especially for traveling. I cannot state this enough. Especially for traveling, if you want to continue to do work while you're traveling, these babies come in handy. Now, the last 2 things that we're going to talk about are books, because you guys know I always pick up a book when I'm in a Botanica. I like to get books just because I like to continue to learn. I have a Gemini moon. I'm always reading something. I love to read, so I'm always gonna get a book. So basically, I definitely recommend going through, checking out the books. I always like to check out the books. I always like to see what's being printed, what's being said, or whatever. Books that I would kind of, that you're probably going to see in a Botanica, are books like this. They come in like this paperback kind of situation, and they're like, they look like they're made like very, like on a computer, like, so it wasn't like as professionally made as something like this. It's more like, you know, somebody put this together and they're trying to share their knowledge, and the Botanica is helping them by selling this book. These type of books are actually really cool, and this, for example, the Papa Jim's Herbal Magic workbook is really cool because it also has different herbs and different roots and stuff that you can use, and it also tells you how to do different mojo bags and stuff in the back. Like, you can get some knowledge if you are not aware of the knowledge and how it's used in different formats, without having to get a big thick $20 or $25 herbal book or something like that. You can get something like this where it's just more like a little bit more root work, and is like, this was like $7.99 or something, so it wasn't a lot, and it's just it's very reputable. Oh, did I say that word right? You guys know what I mean. Anyway, so something like this would be really cool. You're also going to see, depending on which one you're going to, books like this as well that are a little bit more bigger, like published and stuff like that. And this leans more towards Wicca as well. So if you go into a spiritual shop, which is not the same as a Botanica, they're under the same umbrella, but Botanica specifically leans towards more of an Afro-Caribbean it's more of a Latin Afro-Caribbean spiritual shop more than anything. You will see more books like this in spiritual shops that are more, I want to say, that they're just a little bit more dealing with like Wicca, or like they're focusing on more crystals, so you'll see a bigger crystal collection or something like that. Like, they're not as focused on the other stuff. Like, every time, like, there's a couple of shops in New York that have a lot of like Wiccan supplies and stuff like that, and they have a herbal connection, they have candles and stuff, but they don't have candles like this. They'll have 7-day candles, but they're completely clear. They also do carvings in Botanicas, which I recommend you getting if you want to try those, and they also do that in other like pagan shops as well. So it really depends on what it is that you need, but it's also nice to read stuff that is like outside of your norm. So if you were curious about what kind of spells they did, like in Wicca and stuff like that, just pick up a book. It's not hard. If you were curious on how to do different root work, or like how to use different herbs, just pick up a book. So it's still like cool to like just pick up a book in different areas and see what you find, see what you're gravitating to. There might be something that you actually needed to read, and that's usually what it comes down to if you're gravitating towards a specific book. So I will never say don't read a book. There are literally people out there in the spiritual community that like to shame people for reading in the community. I'm just like, why you want people to stay ignorant? Like, it makes no sense to me. But anyway, the last thing we're going to talk about is tarot decks, and this is something that you could possibly see depending how big your Botanica is. I got this at original. This is the Spanish tarot in Espanol, and I really like this deck because it's not like the classic style, like the ancient tarot, but in the old school print with like these like beautiful colors. Like, I just really love this deck. It's just really nice. So I picked this up there. They most of the time, 100% of the time, they're going to sell like the Rider-Waite. The Rider-Waite is a classic standard of tarot anyway. So if you see it and you want to get it, if you've never had a tarot, you could get it there as well. So yeah, definitely recommend checking out. A lot of them have oracle decks too, so you can really get something if you needed it. Like, if you never had it before, you can get it there. No issues. The prices are pretty general. So yeah, that's pretty much my Botanica Essentials list. I'm sorry that this video is so long, but it was definitely necessary to go through each item specifically. The only item that I didn't put in here is Cascarilla, and I didn't put it in here because I couldn't find mine. I think I took it to Mexico with me, and I don't know where I put it. It's somewhere in my luggage, so I'm sorry I didn't put that one in there. But that one, it's just specifically if you want to work with that. You don't necessarily have to. It technically is one of the Botanica Essentials. You can use it in many different ways. But I use it quite often, but I haven't used it in the past couple weeks because I can't find it. But it is definitely in the essentials list. Definitely, but you don't have to work with it if you're not gravitated to work with it as well. Like, don't be forced into doing stuff that you don't feel like you need to do. Like, definitely follow your gut, follow your spirit. And yeah, like, vibe it out. See what it is that is calling you. See what it is that you really need in the moment. And that's how I usually shop for my stuff. At the same time, like, I'm like, okay, this is what the issue is, this is what that is, okay, I need something for that. Like, that's how I literally am in there. And then I take like an hour or 2 hours in there just walking around. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, and definitely check out my Patreon and all the links down below. Make sure you're following me on all of the things. I will see you guys in the next one.